Hey YouTube land, Andreas here doing another action figure review. Now I did take a look at one of these guys a good few months ago, and in the interim I have managed to pick up the whole team. So what this is the Warhammer 40,000 Joytoy Astra Militarum Deathcorps of Krieg veteran squad set. So these guys come in these small boxes. Each one has an image of the figure on the front, and on the back it has images of the figure in various poses and the gear that he comes with. So this is the box for the guardsman with flamer. We have a box for the guardsman demolition specialist. We have one for the medic. We just flip around the back. You can see the stuff he comes with. I'm going to put the boxes to the side. There is a veteran squad sergeant, which is a pretty cool looking figure. There is the veteran squad guardsman. Now, this is the one I reviewed previously. I only had this one. It was the first one I picked up from the set. He was like the most basic of troopers. And then this guy is the guardsman communication specialist, which comes with a plethora of bits and bobs. So now, before I get into the review itself, I will say that when I did get these guys, I did have a slight mishap with this guy. This is the veteran sergeant. So when I was trying to swap out his hand for his alternate hand, because all of them come default with the kind of trigger finger hands. So they come with a default trigger finger hand for both left and right. They all come with the same hands. I'm just going to move his accessory off there to the side. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but when I was trying to take the peg out of the hand, it actually snapped. So it's not a trigger finger for the left. It's actually a grip hand for like two-handed rifle poses. But I'm bringing the peg there. It is a tiny peg. So the way it should sit, I'm not sure if you can see that on screen, is the peg there snapped off, and that's where the actual ball peg is. Now I am waiting on a replacement one. One of the guys on the or one of the members on the Joytoy 40k Discord service said there's you can get replacement ones from, I think they're like Gundam hinges or Gundam wrist articulation parts that should fit it, or Figma figures. They should fit the same thing, so I'm hoping those will work. I have them on order. They're not due to arrive. So luckily, because I had the extra one of the plain guardsmen, I now have one guy here without a hand, because I was able to pop out the remainder of the peg and swap it over to the actual veteran sergeant. So I have a veteran sergeant and I have a wounded casualty. So I'm just going to pop him off to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the tape measure. These guys all stand at the same height, so I'm just going to measure the one. Now, with the exception of the backpack on the communications expert or the communication specialist, these guys all stand around 4. Let's try it with someone who's not going to fall over. But 4 and just around the 4 inches, just a little bit over, maybe 4 1/4. Just because the helmets are separate to the bodies, so they do stand quite tall. And to get a size comparison with another Joytoy line, I have one of the mechanic guys. So this is one of their mechanics from that mechanic set. So they do stand around the same height. They're maybe a little bit higher because they have the helmets on. If you were to take the helmet off, probably pop it on that guy, you could see that, you know, they should stand just around the same height. So there is that. So what I'll do is I'll go through one of these guys, because the articulation is pretty much the same across the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the veteran sergeant, and then we'll just do a rundown of the extra components that they come with that separate them from the main figures. So these guys don't come with any stands or anything like that, but they are quite nicely detailed. The backpacks are on some of the figures in the boxes and separate for some of the others. but you do get a extra set of hands for everyone. So you get an extra set of grasp hand, if I can get a... So you get like a closed fist for holding melee weapons, which is a little bit better. That's why I was trying to switch out the one for the chainsword. He's the sergeant, so he comes with a chainsword. And because he's a sergeant, he comes with a bolt pistol. So you have his bolt pistol, chainsword. He also comes with the standard las rifle that these guys come with. And then he comes with this kind of book thing. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. I know that these guys are both supposed to be based off the deathcorps Krieg kill team figures. So some of the accessories that are on those miniatures are actually replicated on this. So this book thing might be from the sergeant, that might be on him. But all in all, he's actually quite a nice figure. Articulation wise, his head is on a ball joint, but because of the hoses, you don't get a lot of head movement out of these guys. You can get some left to right really, and that's about it. The helmet, as you can see, is a separate piece. The arms can hinge out. They should be able to rotate all the way around, and they have a single jointed elbow with a swivel, and then they have that peg on the wrist as I showed earlier. So depending on which way the peg is aligned, you can get different movement on the hand. And then for the waist is the most hindered part of these guys. They don't really have, they do have a waist swivel, but it is hidden underneath this waistcoat. But they can kick forward, not much because of the bottom of the waistcoat. They have dual jointed knees, which is quite nice. And then they have a similar ball peg joint for the ankles. And then they have ball pegs on the bottom of the feet for the rockers. So all in all, they are quite nicely done. I should note that the shoulder pads on these are actually a separate piece. You can slip them off, as it shows on the back of the boxes. Most of them are actually off on them on the back of the boxes, but other than that, the harness piece is actually it's actually, I think, intended to be glued in place, because when I did get this guy first, his button here was actually off, so I just popped a little bit of super glue on it and put it back in. They seem to have the same base harness as well, and then some of them have a slight bit different accessories. The main exception to the rule is the demolitions expert. He has extra armor plating, but the bodies all appear to be the same body. Arms, legs, heads are all the same. There's nothing that really denotes them being more unique. The only difference is the shoulder pad on the sergeant has the skull icon for the sergeant, where it has the wing pattern for the troopers. They all have the 143rd markings on their right shoulders, so they're all part of the same unit. And so that aside, we'll go through some of the more unique parts on these guys. So I'm going to move the medic away for the moment. We'll bring in the communication specialist. Now, unfortunately, before I set up these guys, his pack did manage to pop up the glue. So this is actually supposed to be glued in place here like this, but the glue is actually come undone, but it is supposed to go over his shoulder. So he does have that. He comes with a map, which is quite nicely done, so they can see where they're going. He also comes with a flare gun, which is a kind of cool accessory. He can hold it in his trigger finger hand pretty well. And what's cool about it is he actually has these, which I believe are supposed to be either grenades or flares. I think they're supposed to be flares for the flare gun, that are kind of an extra piece that's on his armor. Again, he has all the same articulation, all the same parts. And then his backpack is the more unique piece for this guy. So he has this kind of piece that moves. I'm not sure if it's intended to move, but they do move. So he has the antenna. It looks like he has the thing that winds up, and then he has the phone. Would have been cool if the phone was actually on a kind of rubber piece and you could actually disconnect it and have him holding it. And then he comes with the standard rifle. So there's two variations of the rifle. There's the rifle that comes with some of these guys, which is just a plain rifle. It does clip here on the side. And then there's a version of the rifle that comes with some guys, and it has the the strap on it, or the sling. So the sergeant, the basic trooper, and is there one other guy that comes with that sling version? Actually, I think it's just the basic trooper and the sergeant come with the sling version. Everyone else appears to come with the clip-on one for the back. You see the helmet falls off. The helmet is fairly loose fitting on most of these guys, so it does, if you knock it, they will fall off. So you have that. Excuse me. So get on to the flame trooper. He's pretty much, just make sure I have all these accessories. So let me find his box. And amongst everyone, he's probably the one at the very start. I think he's the one with the least amount of accessories there. He just comes with the extra set of hands and the flamer unit, which isn't a bad thing. His flamer unit is actually, again, a separate piece. I would stress being careful of the hose on this, just in case it is that kind of flexible material, rubbery material, so it might snap or be brittle. But it is a pretty cool set. He does hold it two-handed, so if you wanted a better grip, you could probably swap out the hand. I'm not going to do that on screen because of the issue I had with the sergeant. I do recommend heating up these guys' hands if you want to swap over to alternate grip hand, but he holds the flamer two-handed, or if you want, just have him hold the flamer with one hand and kind of up in the air as if he's getting ready to fire it. But the flamer is done really nicely. It's nicely detailed. It has a bit of paint amps for the skull. On mine, it's a bit blurry. It should look a bit better than that, but it is there. And then you have the gas tanks with, again, with more skull iconography on it. But overall, he's a pretty cool trooper. He's pretty plain, so he does come with the least amount. As I said, he does come with just that extra set of hands, but that's it. The basic trooper, which I've already looked at, but we'll have a quick look at again. He comes with a basic rifle. He comes with a bayonet that can attach onto the rifle. It clips in here underneath the backpack. And then he comes with the two sets of hands. Other than that, he is pretty much the same body buck as the flame trooper. And the only difference is the equipment that he comes with. So if you wanted to get extras of this guy, which is what I was intending to do, because I had the extra one, you can have some extra basic troopers. Then would we go with demolitions or medic? I think I'll go with demolition guy first. He comes with a lot of gear. A lot of it he doesn't seem to he can't really hold on to. He does come with a basic rifle. He comes with this backpack which has grenades on it and the kind of big spool. I think the idea behind it is he comes with this alternate version of this mine. I think it's a mine or it's a limpet charge. I'm not sure which. I think it's one of the ones that clamp onto something. And then he comes with the good old trusty shovel, because what is the deathcorps of Krieg without their shovel? The basic trooper guy also comes with a shovel as well. I should mention that. And he also comes with this, I don't think it's supposed to be a grenade. I think it's supposed to be a, you know, like a, something that the tanks, they use on tanks, because it looks very, very familiar, but I can't place it. But I don't think it's supposed to be a shtick grenade. I think it's supposed to be an actual multi-tool or some sort of tool. The demolition guy also comes with this cool plunger set. What is a little bit annoying is he can't really, like, you can put it on him, but the plunger then is upside down. I'm assuming maybe that's a safety feature, so he doesn't set it off prematurely. I would have preferred that when it was hanging like that, but because the way these are glued in place, you can't really flip it around. You can have him kind of holding it. He doesn't really hold it well in his hands, but you can put his hand on the plunger part, so you have that option. But all in all, he's generally just a basic guardsman with a rifle and extra armor. As I said, he does have the extra armor part that the others don't have. And then his backpack, again, just like the others, is removable. And then he has the same basic rifle with the skull print on it, and it does clip onto the little clip on the back of his backpack. So I do like to have some weapon storage. They don't have weapon storage for everything, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And then you get on to the, which I think is kind of one of the more unique figures, because he has a slight bit more alterations than the rest. So we go to the medic of the bunch. So again, he's utilizing the same basic body buck, with an exception of his right arm. He actually has a unique right arm because it has this saw blade thing attached to it, very similar to what the Space Marine apothecaries have. There is a name for the ones that the apothecaries use, but they have like a injector built into it, and it's a pretty cool device. This one has like a scanning thing, some buttons painted on. He has a medic bag. It doesn't open, it's a solid piece, but it has like the Aquila with the medical symbol on it. It would have been nice if he had the medical symbol on his shoulder as well, just to denote he's more of a medic. He does have a unique backpack, which has like a, I think it's supposed to be a water canteen, and then he has these vials on the back. He comes with the basic rifle as well. He comes with the same 2 standard hands and the punch hands, but the exception he comes with 1 additional swappable hand, which is this one. Now again, I do not want to swap it out in case I do snap the peg while trying to do this, but he has this kind of syringe thing. So it's built into the hand. It's not a separate piece. It is part of the hand sculpt, but it is nice that they give you the option that you can either have it in the hand, or, you know, without having it in the hand the whole time, you can use his normal rifle. But he has this piece, I think it's supposed to be whatever vial he's taking this out of. So if you have someone who's wounded, i.e. this poor little dude, you can have him like leaning over him and injecting him with like what I would imagine would be morphine, or the 41st millennia equivalent of a morphine shot, to, you know, either that or he's just drawing blood out of him, whichever one. It is painted in kind of a more blood vial type thing, but it is what it is. Again, he does have the 2, he can leave off his actual medic bag if you want, and just have him holding the basic rifle. I think because of the way the hand is, it will kind of hinder that a small bit, because the way these rifles are set up, if I can just get his hand into it, is they're designed so they kind of hold it like a kind of almost like a shotgun sort of thing. So they're at an angle. The older, kind of the more kind of Cadian style guardsmen, although I think they've changed it to this design since, but the older Imperial Guard guys used to have like a kind of a standard grip, trigger grip, and then they'd hold a rifle two-handed a slight bit better. It is interesting that they haven't actually done a Cadian set. These were the first Imperial Guardsmen they did, or the Astra Militarum sets they did. This is the first one, and they have done the Tempest Scions, I think they're called, as the second ones. It is interesting they didn't go straight for the Cadians, because Cadians are kind of the poster boys of the Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, kind of like how the Ultramarines are the poster boys for the Space Marines, or the Astra Adeptus Astris. So speaking of Ultramarines, we will bring in one of them here. I know some people say that the size scaling is off. These guys should be way taller, but I don't mind it. They would look way too oversized. I think if they were like up here, they wouldn't really fit in too well, especially if you're doing dioramas trying to get things to fit for them. But other than that, they are quite nice. And then we'll bring in 25th anniversary G.I. Joe figure. We'll bring in a Ian Malcolm figure. See, this is kind of more what people are thinking the scaling is. You can see the 3 1/4 inch is slightly a good bit smaller head-wise than the actual Space Marine. And then we'll just bring in that medic guy, or not medic, the engineer guy again. So you can see him. Do we have anyone else we can bring in? Let's grab Penguin here. This is the Spin Master's Penguin figure from the Batman movie. So you see, overall, the scaling is quite nice, and it does fit up really nicely with the whole kind of, 3 1/4 inch. It generally, people will vary in sizes, so I don't knock it too much, but the whole set is pretty cool, with that exception of the pins for the joint snapping on me. The set is actually really cool. I did wait a while to pick it up, but I think they are still somewhat available on third-party sellers. I'm not sure if they're still available on places like Big Bad Toy Store. Originally I had them pre-ordered on that, and then it cancelled it due to, well, lack of funds, and just other stuff came in at the same time, so I kind of prioritized them over these guys, but I kind of regret that, but I'm happy enough to pick them up now. So overall, I think the Astra Militarum set is really cool. I am contemplating whether I want to get another set of them, although I might just get, if I do get another set, I wouldn't mind just getting the Sergeant and maybe a couple of the basic guys and the Flamethrower, so you have like a kind of more standardized Astra Militarum unit, because most Astra Militarum squads don't have the communication guy, the demolition guy within the ranks, or the medic. They all tend to just be basic squad of 10 basic guys with las guns, maybe one special weapon, maybe one heavy weapon, which they haven't done yet, and then a sergeant. So these are supposed to be veterans, so they're a little bit of an exception to the rule. Overall, they are pretty cool. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review for the 40k Krieg deathcorps Krieg soldiers from the Imperial Guard or the Astra Militarum. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.